All right, so this video, if you have any interest and you want to know more about the Red camera, this is the video for you. We're going to be answering 4 big questions. Number 1, what camera sensors do you use? Number 2, what mounts do you use? Canon, PL, Nikon mounts? Question number 3, what battery setup do we use and why? And for the final and last one is what mic setup do you use while filming with the Red? So we're gonna answer those 4 big questions right now. Now before we get started though with all that, this is crucial. Make sure to smash the heck out of that like button, that subscribe button. If you're not already part of the subscribe notification squad, you gotta get on this. And with that being said, let's get started. Now let's get into the lesson for today. Now, if you want to know, going deep into like the menu settings and stuff like that, we already did a video on that. The Red Dragon or the Red weapon. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So don't watch this video for that. If you want to watch that video, I'll have a link down below in the description. It'll be the first link that pops up as far as getting into all the logistics of the Red. But I'm going to be talking about the 2 Red cameras that we use. Ta-da, music chime in, and why we use these 2 cameras. Now this, I'm gonna say exactly what I know and what we do for our videos on our channel. I'm sure there's a lot of other gurus out there, Red gurus especially, that are gonna say this or that. 100% your opinion. This is my opinion on why we do what we do. Now we have owned, we started out with 1 Red and then we got 2 Reds as you can see. We had both Reds originally as Red Dragon cameras. Red has a program because Red cameras or any kind of camera, they are changing year by year by year. It first started off, the Red 1 camera was originally 4K, then it jumped up to 5K, 6K, and now both of these cameras are 8K sensors. So we have the Red 8K Super 35mm helium camera right here, and then we have the Red 8K Monstro camera right here. This is our newest one in our Red family. We got this upgraded a couple months back. Now this is a Vista Vision sensor compared to a Super 35mm sensor. Now the easiest way to describe what's going on here is the Monstro sensor, it has a much bigger field of view. I'm gonna show both of these cameras. I'm gonna show an object that's gonna pop up right now. Here we go! And I am going to put on a 14mm lens. We're gonna actually put on this lens right here that you see right here. It is one of our newest ones in our family, the Sigma 14mm. I'm gonna show you on both of these cameras the field of view. So it's how much the camera is actually seeing from left to right. Now the Vista Vision sensor, it can see a lot more. Now the downside of that, if you're filming something like wildlife or something where you want to be really close, you don't want a really wide field of view. So that's why you would use the Super 35mm sensor. So in these examples, once again, it's strictly showing the field of view, 2 Red 8K cameras, but you can see a lot more as far as left to right with the Vista Vision sensor. So movies like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where a lot of that stuff was really awesome, epic backgrounds where you want to see a lot from left to right, they were actually using a Vista Vision sensor on their Red cameras. So that was a big choice, or a conscious choice that the director of photography and the director James Gunn made as they were working on Guardians of the Galaxy. All right, so Brandon just asked, Vista Vision, is that something that most Hollywood movies are using now? Well, kind of quick little history lesson, 1954, at that time, Super 35 was probably one of the most well-known camera sensors, film stocks that was being used. 1954 though, Paramount, they put in a bunch of research and that's when the Vista Vision camera or the sensor or the film stock was invented. So that's when you started seeing movies that were done in Vista Vision. Essentially, it allowed it to have an anamorphic look where it was a much larger field of view. So that's just a quick little history lesson. But Super 35 came first and then Vista Vision came afterwards, and because a lot of filmmakers, they wanted to see a much bigger field of view from going from left to right, as you just saw in that example. When you buy a Red camera, you have you have a lot of options. But as far as the actual lens that you're gonna use for that camera, That's gonna be a crucial decision because it's gonna affect the mount that you're putting on the camera. So right here, we are using a PL mount. A PL mount is what our Sigma, it's also what our Leica lenses are. If you open this up here, you'll see that it has these 4 notches. That's one of the quickest ways you can tell if it's a PL mount. Now, if I have something like a Canon lens, you're gonna need a Canon mount right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this PL mount, or PL lens. Right here we have a PL mount. Now I cannot stick on a Canon lens. It's not even an option. I can't mount it, I can't close it, I can't tighten it. But you'll notice, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this in just so we protect the sensor as much as possible. Now what you're going to notice is this camera right here, it actually has a Canon mount right here. So I couldn't put a PL mount here. Now depending on what we're shooting and what sensor we think is gonna be best for the story and best for the project, we actually have PL mounts and Canon mounts or adapters, depending on who you're talking to. So I can take this off, take off the lens, and I can rig a PL mount to the Red camera and take off the Canon mount. So I think that's something that's important to say. They have several different mounts. They also have a Nikon mount, but Nikon, Canon mount, and PL mount are the 3 main mounts you're going to be seeing out there. With that being said, PL mount, most cinema lenses are PL mounts, generally speaking, especially the ones, I'm not supposed to say especially as well, but that's definitely the mount that we see the most in the Hollywood cinema world. Now we bought the Canon and the PL mounts. Those are the ones that we own because we own Canon lenses and PL lenses. So that's just a little quick insight on that. So right here I have the PL mount adapter, and then right here I have the Canon mount adapter. So they look very similar, but when we're traveling on shoots, and usually before we go out on a shoot, most of the time up until now, because we haven't owned the PL or the cinema lenses, we've only had the Canon mount. But just recently we've kind of invested in the whole cinema world, PL mount, so we also have PL adapters as well. And whenever you get your camera upgraded, because originally we had the Red Dragon camera, we had a Canon mount on it, but when you send it in to get upgraded to, let's just say, the Red Helium or the Monstro sensor, you actually let Red know what mount you want on it. And usually the PL mount's more expensive, so you always request the PL mount because it'll actually save you money because you're not paying the difference. So keep that in mind if you're looking into purchasing a Red. Now you'll see right here there's 2 big differences between these 2 cameras here. This one is for if we're sticking it on the glide cam. We want it to be as light as possible. So we'll put very minimal things on it because you want the camera, especially the glide cam setup, to be a lot lighter. Here you're gonna see a much heavier setup. It's still not crazy heavy, but we have a handheld mount right here, which you can see here. This is actually something new we bought recently, and this was what we actually used on the Yeti video that we just released last week. And then you'll also see this right here. So we have Wooden Camera. They are a website that sells a bunch of camera accessories for Red and all the other cameras that you can probably think of. But we bought this from there. I'll have a link down below in the description if you're curious what this is. This isn't a product placement video at all, just sharing what we know. And then we hooked the Rode mic right here. So the new Red cameras within the last couple years, originally they didn't have this option, but they have internal sound that they can record into. That works as just kind of temporary sound. You're never gonna really wanna use that once you're done with a video, but this is an awesome option for run and gun, kind of more documentary style shooting, where there's a potential you might wanna use the audio. This is kind of our setup that we use for that. So for the last video we filmed, the Yeti video in the mountains, we were doing a more caught on camera type style video. So this is the exact setup that we used on our last video. We also had a boom pole with a Sennheiser mic hooked to it to get the best audio possible, but we actually ended up using a lot of the audio from here because it still sounded great, and you can control all the settings and everything in the Red itself. And then we had a sound guy as well getting the sounds, but this worked phenomenal for what we were trying to do. And if you watch the video, 90% of the sound in that video was used with this Rode mic right here on camera. Hi! It's okay. There's nothing. Are you good? I'm good. So now the next thing I'm gonna show you is batteries, because that's a pretty important thing. So we do use the Red Volt XL batteries, which you see right here. These are light, they'll last for about an hour, maybe even a little longer. This is usually like the fastest setup that we use, just like that. When we're out on location, and one of the downsides with the Red compared to like a Canon or a DSLR camera, you turn on a Red camera, it takes 1 to 2 minutes. And then it takes time, especially if you're out in the cold or if it's really hot out, it takes time to warm up or cool down the sensor so you can get the best image possible. So a lot of times we try and keep the Red running as long as possible. And let's just say we got done with the take, but realistically within 3 or 4 minutes, we're gonna film again. So instead of powering down the camera to save battery space, we'll actually take the Red V-mount batteries, which these will last 2 hours, give or take. And we can plug this into the back of the Red right here, and this will power the Red instead of draining this battery. Now, another big thing of why these belt clips are awesome is, let's just say I turn off the camera, I put this in, this will actually be charging the battery right here. So it's dual purpose. It will either charge the battery if the camera's off, or if the camera's on, it will run from this instead of running power from the Red Volt XL batteries. And you'll actually see right here, I'll lift it up, this light is green. So what that means is it's charging this battery as we speak. Game changer, if you will. And this is actually something a lot of people don't know about. So we've done a lot of shoots, even when we did a shoot with Corridor Digital a couple years back, they saw us doing this and they're like, oh, that's incredible, we gotta be doing that as well, because it definitely saved us time, made it so we could run a lot longer. And let's just say we're out on location, this battery is going to die, and we need to do the take within like the next 30 seconds to a minute. Instead of powering down the camera, I can take out the battery. The camera's still powered on, it's not gonna turn off, and I can put in a new battery. Hot swapping is what they call in the business. And then I can take this out and we can keep on shooting without any delay, minus changing the battery, of course. So that is the main battery setup. Now there's a couple other options out there that we use for our shoots. Now you'll see right here, we have a V-mount battery. I'm not sure the technical term for it, but I can take this right here, this whole setting right here, take this whole thing off, and I can take this and then these batteries, and then these batteries that we use are called the Hypercore batteries. These Red V-mount batteries, they will also work as well. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this off and pop this on. So I can hook this to the back. Now these batteries will last longer. The problem with the Red ones is they are definitely heavier. These batteries, the Hypercores, they last for about an hour. So it's similar time as the Red Volt XLs, and they are a little different size. For when we're filming with GlideCam stuff, I like the camera to be as condensed as possible and not kind of weird shapes. And if I hook this to it, it does make it a little taller and a little abstract. So I prefer not to use these if I'm filming with a GlideCam if I have the option, because they last close to length. These maybe last a little bit longer, but not like a crazy amount. Now, the other thing that is worth mentioning is the OMOD. That's this big device, little device right here. This is a little bit spendy. When we're doing wireless stuff or we have someone pulling wireless follow focus, this is a device that we actually hook to the back of the Red, and then we'll hook on this right here, and it will just screw right in just like this. This whole thing will take over this area, and this will be the battery that will now power this. But now we can do a bunch of wireless stuff, and you have a bunch of different settings right here with the OMOD. So anything that you've seen lately, narrative stuff that we've been doing where we've been pulling focus, wireless fall focus, we've been using the OMOD PO right here for all that fancy stuff. And you'll actually see a little antenna right here in person. So there you have it. That is our Red configuration that we are doing now. Once again, it always is a different story depending on what we're filming. If we're filming out in the middle of nowhere and I'm doing glide camming stuff, I want my camera to be as light as possible. So it's not perfectly balanced because I just threw it on, but I want it to be as sleek as possible. So this is gonna be a much better configuration than something like this. But this may not always be the best option, because if we're running and gunning, I'm having to take this right off and do handheld right away. Wait for it. This might be the better option. So There's no one way to eat a Reese's peanut butter cup. There's no one way to shoot a video. It's all gonna come down to personal preference. There's some things I prefer over other setups for different things. All right, so there you have it. That is a little inside look of why we use PL or Canon mounts, VistaVision or Super 35mm, different battery setups and mic setups, all in one video. So if you want to learn more about the Red camera setups, etc., let us know down below in the comments. If you guys want to see any of these types of videos, if you don't let us know now, they will probably not continue. So this is your moment to let us know if you still want to see videos like this, or if you're kind of done, move on and want to move on with your life, raise a wife and kids and a bunch of goats. Let us know that too. But this is our community that we absolutely love, and we just want to share the things that we've learned, the things that we've made big mistakes on, which there's a lot of. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure to smash the crap out of that like button. And pardon my French, if you will. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, turn on those post notifications, get on that. And other than that, thanks so much for watching. Over and out, baby.